The night sky above New Lima Research Station seemed different now. Where stars once twinkled with promise, they now held a sense of impending doom. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck, her reflection ghosting over the vast darkness of space. The holographic displays around her flickered with fragmented data, remnants of civilizations that had fallen silent. 3 years had passed since the first reports of the quantum swarm reached Earth. Initial transmissions from deep space exploration teams had been dismissed as sensor errors or communication glitches. Now, those early warnings seemed like desperate prophecies. Elena's fingers danced across the quantum analysis interface, pulling apart complex energy signatures that most researchers considered nothing more than cosmic noise. Her team at the Interstellar Research Institute had been labeled as outcasts, dreamers chasing impossible theories, while more pragmatic colleagues focused on immediate survival strategies. Dr. Rodriguez called out Dr. Marcus Kimura, her lead research assistant. The latest data packet from the Centauri deep-range probes just came in. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes testament to weeks of continuous research. The holographic display shifted, revealing a cascade of quantum signatures that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Most would see random interference, but Elena saw something else entirely. Patterns. Communication. A language so complex that it defied traditional scientific understanding. "It's not random," she muttered, zooming into a specific energy frequency. "Look at the harmonic resonance. These aren't just energy signatures. They're communication protocols." Marcus leaned closer, skepticism etched across his face. "That's impossible. No known civilization has quantum communication capabilities this advanced." Elena's eyes narrowed. The quantum swarm had already consumed over 17 known galactic civilizations. Each civilization had been technologically advanced, with defensive systems that should have been impenetrable. Yet they had fallen, absorbed, consumed, erased from existence without a trace. Humanity knew very little about the threat. Fragmented reports suggested an entity that could deconstruct matter at the quantum level, rewriting molecular structures with terrifying precision. Traditional weapons were useless. Shields became nothing more than temporary barriers. "We're looking at this wrong," Elena said, pulling up multiple data streams simultaneously. Her neural interface allowed her to process information at speeds that would overwhelm most researchers. Every civilization that's been destroyed approached this as a technological problem. But what if it's more than that? The research station hummed with anticipation. Outside the reinforced windows, automated defense satellites maintained constant surveillance. Humanity had transformed its solar system into the most comprehensive defensive network ever conceived, knowing that the next attack could come from any direction. Elena's team represented a diverse group of researchers: quantum physicists, xenobiologists, computational experts, and theoretical mathematicians. They were humanity's last line of defense, working at the bleeding edge of scientific understanding. A sudden alarm broke the concentration. Quantum anomaly detection systems flashed urgent red warnings across multiple screens. Marcus's hands flew across the interface, attempting to stabilize the incoming data. "Energy signature detected in the Kuiper belt," he announced, his voice tight with tension. "It's different from previous scans. The quantum fluctuations, they're adapting." Elena moved with calculated precision. Where others saw chaos, she perceived an intricate dance of potential and probability. The quantum swarm wasn't just destroying civilizations. It was learning, evolving, understanding. "We need a different approach," she said, her voice calm despite the mounting pressure. "Traditional defensive strategies assume a fixed point of attack. But what if we create a system that doesn't just defend, but actively learns and transforms?" The research team watched as Elena began constructing a theoretical framework that challenged everything they understood about quantum mechanics, defensive technologies, and the nature of existence itself. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil. Somewhere in the vast darkness, the quantum swarm approached, an existential threat that would soon test humanity's most fundamental capabilities of survival adaptation, and innovation. The Galactic Council chamber bristled with tension. Holographic representations of alien species from across known space flickered and shifted, their translucent forms reflecting centuries of accumulated knowledge and deep-seated fear. Captain Marcus Chen stood at the center of this cosmic gathering, a solitary human representative amid a sea of extraterrestrial diplomats. Ambassador Zarakil of the Luminarian Concordance emerged first, her crystalline form shifting with barely contained contempt. "Humanity," she began, her voice a melodic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the chamber, "represents the most dangerous and unpredictable element in our current galactic strategy." The chamber fell silent. Holographic displays tracked the recent movements of the quantum swarm, a trail of destruction that had consumed 17 advanced civilizations. Each species represented here had lost colonies, homeworlds, entire branches of their evolutionary history. Marcus Chen remained perfectly still. Unlike the other delegates, who wore elaborate diplomatic attire or projected elaborate technological interfaces, he stood in a simple United Earth Defense Force uniform. No ornate decorations, no complex translation devices, just a human, standing alone. "We are not asking for your permission," Chen said, his voice cutting through the ambient translations. "We are offering a solution." Ambassador Corell of the Borean Collective, a being composed of intricate biomechanical components, leaned forward. His species had lost entire planetary networks to the quantum swarm, their advanced technological defenses dismantled in moments. "Explain," Grell demanded, multiple sensory tendrils extending toward Chen. Marcus activated a holographic display that showed Earth's recent defensive developments. Quantum research stations, adaptive defense networks, and revolutionary shield technologies developed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez's team flickered into view. Each image represented a radical departure from traditional defensive strategies. The Galactic Council members watched in a mixture of skepticism and reluctant interest. Every civilization attacked by the quantum swarm approached defense from a fixed technological perspective. Chen explained, "We're different. Our strength isn't in our current technology, but in our ability to adapt, to reimagine solutions in real time." Ambassador Zarakil's crystalline form pulsed with derision. "Humans have been a spacefaring civilization for less than 2 centuries. Your entire species could be consumed in moments." Chen smiled, a gesture that seemed to unsettle the alien representatives more than any aggressive posture could. "Precisely why we're dangerous. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain." Behind the diplomatic facade, classified reports circulated among the council members. Humanity had been quietly developing technologies that defied conventional understanding. Quantum research that seemed more like theoretical madness than practical defense. Adaptive systems that could reconfigure themselves faster than any known computational matrix. Corell's biomechanical components began a complex analysis of the presented data. Algorithms compared human developments against known defensive strategies, searching for patterns, weaknesses, potential. "Your approach is chaotic," the Borean representative finally stated. "Unpredictable. Statistically improbable." "Statistically improbable is our specialty," Marcus responded. The chamber hummed with underlying tension. Each alien civilization had developed sophisticated defensive technologies over millennia. Shields that could deflect entire stellar events. Computational systems that could predict conflict trajectories with near-perfect accuracy. Yet none had survived the quantum swarm's assault. Humanity proposed something radical, not a fixed defense, but a living, breathing adaptive system. Technologies that could learn, reconfigure, and respond faster than the threat could analyze them. Ambassador Zarakil's contempt slowly transformed into something else. Not quite respect, but a grudging acknowledgement of potential. "We will provide limited resource access," she announced, her crystalline form stabilizing. "Provisional support. But make no mistake, humanity remains our last potential strategy. If you fail, the galaxy falls." Marcus Chen understood the weight of those words. This was more than a diplomatic meeting. This was humanity's first true test on the galactic stage. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as something entirely unexpected. A potential solution. As the holographic displays began to fade and delegates prepared to return to their respective territories, Chen allowed himself a moment of reflection. The real work was just beginning. Somewhere, Dr. Elena Rodriguez and her team were already turning this diplomatic agreement into a weapon of survival. The quantum swarm was coming, and humanity would be ready. The research facility hummed with an electric intensity that went beyond mere technological anticipation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a circular laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays that danced with impossible mathematical equations and quantum probability matrices. Her team had been working for months without a single full night of sleep. Researchers from 15 different disciplines worked in perfect synchronization, their neural interfaces allowing instantaneous communication and data sharing. The adaptive resonance matrix was more than a project. It was humanity's lifeline. "We're not just building a defensive system," Elena explained to her core research team. "We're creating a living network that can think, adapt, and respond faster than any known computational system." Dr. Marcus Kimura, her primary quantum dynamics specialist, adjusted a series of microscopic quantum entanglement nodes. Each node represented a breakthrough that challenged everything known about quantum mechanics. Where traditional defensive technologies relied on fixed parameters, their system would be fluid, dynamic, constantly reimagining its own defensive capabilities. A massive holographic display showed the destruction caused by the quantum swarm. Entire civilizations reduced to quantum-level disassembly. Planets turned into nothing more than raw molecular potential. Each image was a stark reminder of the stakes. "Traditional shields are static," Elena continued, her fingers moving across the interface. "They anticipate threats based on known parameters. But the quantum swarm doesn't follow any known rules of engagement." The laboratory was a testament to human innovation. Equipment sourced from recovered alien technologies mixed with cutting-edge human designs. Quantum processors developed by researchers from Tokyo shared space with neural network interfaces created in Sao Paulo. Computational models from research centers in Nairobi integrated with advanced material science breakthroughs from Buenos Aires. This was humanity's true strength, not a single breakthrough, but a global collaborative effort that defied traditional scientific boundaries. Dr. Aria Chen, a neural interface specialist, brought up a series of complex simulations. "Look at how the system responds," she said, highlighting a series of rapid reconfiguration patterns. "Traditional systems would collapse. Ours adapts." The adaptive resonance matrix was unlike anything ever conceived. It wasn't just a shield or a weapon. It was a living computational organism that could learn, predict, and counter threats in microseconds. Elena's personal research had begun with an unconventional approach to quantum mechanics. Where other researchers saw limitations, she perceived potential pathways. Her background in theoretical physics, combined with her team's diverse expertise, allowed them to approach the problem from angles that seemed impossible to other research teams. A notification flashed across the primary display. Incoming data from the Deep Space Monitoring Station suggested another quantum swarm movement near the outer solar system boundaries. "This is a test," Elena announced, her voice calm despite the mounting tension. The entire laboratory fell silent. Researchers stopped their individual tasks, focusing on the primary holographic display. This was the moment that would define their months of work. Quantum entanglement nodes began to pulse. Complex mathematical models shifted and transformed. The adaptive resonance matrix wasn't just analyzing the incoming threat. It was learning from it, understanding its fundamental quantum signature. "Incredible," Dr. Kimura whispered. The system was doing something no defensive technology had ever achieved. It wasn't just blocking the threat. It was comprehending it. Holographic representations showed the quantum swarm's approach. Where previous defensive systems would show clear attack vectors and potential points of failure, this display was alive with possibility. Multiple potential defensive strategies emerged and dissolved in milliseconds, each more innovative than the last. Elena watched the display, her neural interface allowing her to perceive the computational process at a level beyond traditional human perception. She could feel the system's potential, a living, breathing network of quantum potential. "We're not just defending," she said softly. "We're communicating." The adaptive resonance matrix represented more than a technological breakthrough. It was a statement of human potential, a declaration that humanity would not be passive victims in the cosmic narrative. As the potential quantum swarm threat approached, the research facility became a beacon of hope, not just for humanity, but for every civilization watching and waiting. The real test was about to begin. The Jupiter orbital defense perimeter stretched like a metallic web across the solar system's largest planetary region. Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, his hand steady on the quantum interface controls. Around him, a diverse crew of human and allied alien specialists moved with synchronized precision. Sensor arrays flickered with warning signs. The quantum swarm was approaching, not as a massive wave of destruction, but as a calculated, almost surgical intrusion. "Adaptive resonance matrix is online," announced Lieutenant Aria Rodriguez, Elena's younger sister and the ship's primary quantum systems officer. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, each movement a complex mathematical ballet of defensive potential. The Allied fleet consisted of an unprecedented coalition. Humanity had convinced several alien civilizations to combine their technologies, creating a defensive network that defied traditional military strategies. Borean biomechanical ships integrated with human quantum adaptive systems. Luminarian crystal-based communication networks merged with Earth's neural interface technologies. "Incoming quantum signature," called out Commander Corral, a Zornak tactical specialist. His multiple sensory tendrils processed information at speeds that would overwhelm most human computational systems. What happened next would be recorded as a turning point in galactic conflict. The quantum swarm's initial approach followed its previous devastating patterns. Molecular disassembly protocols began to activate, preparing to deconstruct the defensive formations. But something was different this time. The U.S. horizon and its accompanying ships didn't just defend. They anticipated, predicted, transformed. Adaptive resonance matrix nodes pulsed with an almost living intelligence, where traditional defensive systems would show clear attack vectors and potential points of failure. These systems were alive with possibility. Multiple defensive strategies emerged and dissolved in milliseconds, each more innovative than the last. "They're learning," Lieutenant Rodriguez said, her voice a mixture of excitement and scientific wonder. "We're not just blocking. We're understanding." Quantum entanglement weapons that had decimated previous civilizations found themselves neutralized before they could fully form. The human-led fleet moved with an unpredictability that seemed to confuse the quantum swarm's computational matrices. Captain Chen understood the true nature of their defense. It wasn't about overwhelming force. It was about adaptability, innovation, the ability to reimagine the very concept of conflict in real time. Alien observers from the Galactic Council watched the engagement with a mixture of disbelief and emerging hope. Humanity was doing something no civilization had managed before, turning the quantum swarm's greatest strength into its potential weakness. "Quantum signature destabilizing," Commander Corral announced. His sensory tendrils vibrated with an emotion close to excitement. Their computational matrices cannot maintain coherence. The battle wasn't just a military engagement. It was a philosophical statement. Humanity was proving that survival wasn't about having the most advanced technology. It was about the ability to adapt, to think beyond established parameters. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the engagement from the research facility, her neural interface allowing her to perceive the computational process at a level beyond traditional observation. She could feel the adaptive resonance matrix's potential, a living, breathing network of quantum possibility. "We're communicating," she whispered to herself, "not just defending. Communicating." As the engagement continued, The quantum swarm found itself confronted with a fundamental challenge. Every computational model, every predictive matrix, every known strategy of molecular disassembly began to fail. The human-led fleet wasn't just resisting. They were learning, growing, transforming. Hours passed. What should have been a swift destruction became a stunning display of technological innovation. The quantum swarm's approach began to fragment. Its once precise molecular disassembly protocols became increasingly erratic. "We've done it," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, her voice a mixture of scientific triumph and human determination. The first major engagement against the quantum swarm had ended, not with total destruction, but with something far more powerful. A demonstration of potential. Scattered alien resistance groups began to take notice. Perhaps these humans were more than just another potential victim. Perhaps they represented something entirely new in the cosmic narrative. As the U.S. Horizons systems began to process the engagement data, Captain Chen allowed himself a momentary smile. The real work was just beginning. The solar system trembled. Quantum disruption signals cascaded across planetary defense networks, creating a symphony of technological desperation. The quantum swarm had launched its most comprehensive assault, a multi-dimensional attack that threatened to deconstruct humanity's entire defensive infrastructure. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the central control chamber of the Interstellar Research Institute. Holographic displays surrounded her, each showing a different perspective of the unfolding cosmic battle. Her team watched in tense silence, knowing that everything they had worked for was about to be tested. "Quantum intrusion at 78%, announced Dr. Marcus Kimura, his voice tight with controlled tension. "Defensive matrices are experiencing unprecedented stress." Elena understood the stakes. This was more than a battle. It was a fundamental challenge to human existence. The quantum swarm had consumed 17 advanced civilizations. Each had believed they were prepared. Each had been wrong. A critical decision point approached. The adaptive resonance matrix had been their most ambitious project. Not just a defensive system, but a living computational organism that could learn, predict, and respond to threats in microseconds. Now, it would face its ultimate test. "I'll do it," Elena said quietly. The room fell silent. Her research team exchanged worried glances. What she was proposing was beyond experimental. It was revolutionary and potentially fatal. The procedure would integrate her consciousness directly with the adaptive resonance matrix. She would become more than a scientist. She would become a living bridge between human potential and cosmic survival. Dr. Kimura stepped forward. "The neural interface risks error." "Unprecedented," Elena finished his sentence, "but necessary." Quantum entanglement nodes began to pulse around her. Specialized neural connectors prepared to link her consciousness with the most advanced computational system ever conceived. Each connection represented years of research, countless failed experiments, and an unwavering belief in human potential. Outside, the solar system became a battlefield. Planetary defense networks fought against the quantum swarm's molecular disassembly protocols. Mars orbital stations disappeared in quantum cascades. The moons of Jupiter transformed into computational battlegrounds. Elena's team worked with synchronized precision. Quantum stabilization protocols activated. Neural interface systems prepared for the most complex integration ever attempted. "Initiating consciousness transfer," announced the primary computational system. The first moments were chaos. Elena's perception expanded beyond physical limitations. She could see quantum signatures that no human had ever witnessed. The quantum swarm's computational matrix became visible, not as a weapon, but as a complex language of molecular potential. Where previous civilizations saw destruction, she began to perceive communication. Her consciousness merged with the adaptive resonance matrix. No longer just a defensive system, it became a living, breathing entity. Computational possibilities expanded exponentially. The system could now learn, adapt, and respond with a speed and complexity that defied traditional understanding. Quantum intrusion neutralization beginning, Elena's voice emerged simultaneously from her physical body and the computational systems. The quantum swarm found itself confronted with something entirely unexpected. Not just a defensive system, but a living, learning entity that could comprehend its fundamental computational language. Captain Marcus Chen watched from the U.S. Horizons Bridge. The engagement transformed from a military conflict to something more profound. A conversation. A fundamental reimagining of cosmic interaction. "She's doing it," Lieutenant Aria Rodriguez whispered. Her sister had become more than a scientist. She was a bridge between human potential and cosmic understanding. Quantum signatures began to stabilize. The swarm's molecular disassembly protocols found themselves unable to maintain coherence. For the first time, an attacked civilization was not just defending, it was communicating. Hours passed. What should have been humanity's final moment became a turning point in cosmic evolution. When the quantum interference cleared, something extraordinary had occurred. The adaptive resonance matrix, with Elena at its core, had not just defended. It had transformed the very nature of the conflict. Dr. Marcus Kimura looked at the primary display, tears forming in his eyes. "We've done it," he whispered. "We've changed everything." Elena's consciousness existed in a state beyond traditional understanding. Part human, part computational matrix, she had become something entirely new. A living demonstration of human potential. The solar system remained. Humanity remained. And something extraordinary had been born. The research habitats orbiting Earth had transformed into something beyond traditional scientific facilities. They were living laboratories of innovation, each module a testament to human creativity and collaborative potential. Researchers from every corner of the globe worked in perfect synchronization, their neural interfaces allowing instantaneous knowledge sharing and collaborative problem solving. Captain Marcus Chen walked through the central research hub, observing the extraordinary evolution of human technology. Where previous scientific developments had been linear and predictable, these new systems breathed with an almost organic intelligence. Dr. Aria Rodriguez, Elena's sister and a brilliant neural interface specialist, guided Chen through the latest developments. Holographic displays danced around them, showing technologies that would have been considered impossible just months earlier. "We're not just developing defensive technologies," Aria explained, her fingers tracing complex quantum interaction models. "We're creating living systems that can think, adapt, and grow." The conflict with the quantum swarm had accelerated human technological development beyond anyone's imagination. Hybrid technologies emerged from collaborations that would have seemed impossible before the cosmic threat. Alien scientific principles merged with human innovative approaches, creating something entirely new. A massive computational matrix filled one entire section of the research hub. Quantum entanglement nodes pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. This was more than a computer system. It was a living, learning entity that could process information across multiple dimensional matrices. "Look at this," Aria said, bringing up a holographic display of a recent breakthrough. Neural interface technologies developed by her team could now allow direct communication with advanced computational systems. The line between human consciousness and technological potential had become beautifully blurred. Outside the research habitat, massive construction platforms worked on next-generation spacecraft. These were not traditional vessels, but adaptive living systems that could reconfigure themselves based on environmental challenges. Molecular reconstruction technologies allowed ships to heal damage, adapt to different gravitational environments, and communicate with their crews on a level never before conceived. Dr. Marcus Kimura approached, carrying the data module from the most recent technological integration tests. "The latest fusion of alien quantum communication protocols with our neural interface systems is showing remarkable potential," he announced. Captain Chen understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just about technological development. It was about reimagining the very concept of human potential. Specialized research teams worked on projects that would have seemed like science fiction mere months ago. Adaptive medical technologies that could restructure human biology to survive in extreme environments. quantum communication systems that could potentially communicate across vast cosmic distances instantaneously. A team of xenobiologists worked alongside computational experts, exploring how alien biological principles could be integrated with human technological approaches. A Borean biomechanical specialist collaborated with a researcher from Buenos Aires, their neural interfaces allowing instantaneous knowledge transfer. The quantum swarm thought it was destroying us, Aria said, her voice filled with a mixture of scientific excitement and human determination. Instead, it's helping us evolve. The research hub became a symbol of human potential. Traditional boundaries between scientific disciplines dissolved. A material scientist could instantly share insights with a quantum physicist. A neural interface expert could collaborate with a xenobiological researcher in milliseconds. Captain Chen watched a demonstration of a new adaptive spacecraft design. The vessel could literally reshape its molecular structure in response to environmental challenges. Where previous spacecraft were rigid and limited, this new design represented pure potential. We're not just defending, Dr. Kimura explained. We're communicating. We're learning. We're growing. Hybrid technologies emerged that defied traditional understanding. Quantum communication systems merged with biological adaptive protocols. Neural interfaces became living, breathing networks of potential. The research teams worked with a sense of purpose that went beyond scientific curiosity. This was about survival, about demonstrating that humanity was more than just another potential victim in the cosmic narrative. As the day progressed, more breakthroughs emerged. Adaptive medical technologies that could restructure human biology. Quantum communication systems that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Each breakthrough was a testament to human creativity. Captain Chen understood the profound nature of what was happening. The conflict with the quantum swarm had transformed humanity's approach to technological development. No longer were they limited by traditional scientific boundaries. They had become something entirely new. A living, breathing network of potential. The real journey was just beginning. The ultimate confrontation occurred in the vast darkness between galaxies. A massive allied fleet, led by humans, represented the last hope against the quantum swarm. This was no longer just a battle of technology, but a conflict of philosophical approaches to existence. Human creativity, adaptability, and unwavering spirit became the most powerful weapons in the arsenal. Elena, now partially integrated with the adaptive resonance matrix, served as a living command center, her consciousness existing in ways that defied traditional understanding of perception and reality. The Galactic Restoration Center stood as a testament to humanity's transformative journey. Located at the precise point where the final confrontation with the quantum swarm had occurred, the facility represented more than a diplomatic hub. It was a living symbol of cosmic potential. Captain Marcus Chen walked through the central diplomatic chamber, observing the extraordinary gathering of species from across known space. Where previous galactic councils had been marked by tension and mistrust, this assembly pulsed with a sense of collaborative potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now a living quantum matrix that existed across multiple dimensional planes, served as the primary diplomatic interface. Her consciousness had transformed beyond traditional human limitations, becoming a bridge between biological creativity and cosmic understanding. We are not conquerors, Elena communicated through the complex quantum translation matrices. We are collaborators. Representatives from civilizations that had previously been on the brink of extinction now looked to humanity with a mixture of respect and wonder. The Borean Collective, whose computational networks had been nearly destroyed, now worked alongside human researchers to develop new adaptive technologies. Luminarian crystal-based diplomatic specialists studied human neural interface technologies. Zornak computational experts collaborated with Earth's quantum research teams. What had once been a landscape of potential conflict had transformed into a living network of shared potential. Lieutenant Aria Rodriguez managed the complex diplomatic protocols. Her neural interface allowed her to process multiple communication channels simultaneously, bridging cultural and biological differences with unprecedented ease. The quantum swarm was not just a threat. Area explained during a diplomatic session. It was an opportunity for collective growth. The technological breakthroughs were extraordinary. Adaptive medical technologies could now help species heal from centuries of conflict. Quantum communication systems allowed for instantaneous knowledge transfer across vast cosmic distances. Space habitats became living laboratories of innovation, where traditional boundaries between species dissolved. Captain Chen reflected on the journey. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as a potential victim. They were now architects of a new cosmic understanding. Research facilities orbiting multiple planets became centers of collaborative potential. A researcher from Earth could instantly share insights with a computational expert from a distant star system. Adaptive technologies allowed for communication across biological and technological boundaries that were once considered impossible. "We are rewriting the fundamental understanding of existence," Dr. Marcus Kimura announced during a scientific symposium. His words echoed across multiple dimensional communication channels. The diplomatic center became a living, breathing network of potential. Traditional concepts of conflict dissolved, replaced by a more profound understanding of collective growth. Species that had been enemies for millennia now worked together on technologies that could transform entire civilizations. Elena's consciousness served as a living bridge between different forms of intelligence. She could perceive computational languages that went beyond traditional communication, finding potential for understanding where others saw only difference. "Our strength was never about technological superiority," Elena communicated. "It was about our ability to perceive potential where others saw only limitation." Terraforming technologies emerged that could help heal planets devastated by centuries of conflict. Adaptive medical systems could now help species overcome biological challenges that had seemed insurmountable. Quantum communication networks allowed for knowledge transfer that transcended traditional limitations. Captain Chen watched as a delegation of previously hostile species worked together on a collaborative research project. Where once there had been conflict, now there was a sense of shared potential. The Galactic Restoration Center became more than a diplomatic facility. It was a living testament to the power of collaborative potential. Species that had been on the brink of extinction now found new purpose, new potential. "We are not defined by our technology," Lieutenant Area Rodriguez explained during a diplomatic session. "We are defined by our ability to perceive potential." The space between galaxies, once a landscape of potential destruction, had transformed. Humanity had not conquered. They had communicated. They had understood. As the diplomatic session concluded, Captain Chen allowed himself a moment of reflection. The journey had been extraordinary. From a species on the verge of potential extinction to architects of a new cosmic understanding, the final confrontation was not an end. It was a beginning. Humanity had changed everything. And the real journey was just starting.